Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a look at what makes a city truly livable. We've all seen those lists, ranking the best places to live, and we're going to unpack what's really behind those rankings.
Exactly, and what it means on the ground. So to get to the heart of this, we've gathered information from several key global livability indices. Think of it as a meta-analysis of urban quality of life.
Okay.
We'll be drawing insights from the Economist Intelligence Unit, the EIU, Monocle Magazine Survey, Mercer's ranking, the World Happiness Report.
Right.
And we'll even touch on some data from Numbeo, keeping in mind it's community-driven.
Okay, so quite a range of perspectives here. The EIU, for example, uses a really detailed framework, doesn't it? Focusing on things like stability, healthcare quality.
Culture and environment, education systems, infrastructure. It's broken down into, I think, over 30 specific factors. Very thorough.
Very data-driven.
Yeah, whereas Monocle, what's interesting there is how they approach it from, a slightly different angle. They consider hard data, sure, but they put a lot of emphasis on the experience of city life.
The vibe.
Exactly, the vibe. Stuff you might not immediately think of, like how easy is it to get a good meal late at night, or the price of your morning coffee, things like that, alongside parks and safety. It gives a real sense of the place.
Yeah, that street-level view. Then there's Mercer. Their main goal is actually quite practical, isn't it?
Right. It's designed for companies, really, helping them figure out fair pay for employees moving abroad. So they compare a huge number of cities based on, political environment, economic conditions, access to services. And then zooming out a bit, the World Happiness Report. Okay. It looks at whole countries, not cities specifically, but it gives important context. Well, it examines how people rate their life satisfaction, right? And links that to things like a nation's GDP per capita, social support networks, healthy life expectancy. These big national factors definitely filter down to city life.
Makes sense. And Numbeo, the crowdsourced one.
Yeah, that's data straight from residents on all sorts of things, how safe they feel, cost of groceries, even traffic. It's like a real-time snapshot. But, we need to remember it's based on subjective perception.
Sure. Different methodology.
So with all these different lenses, what are we trying to achieve here? I guess our goal is to sort of synthesize these insights, identify the characteristics that keep popping up in these top-tier cities.
And maybe highlight a few of those consistent performers.
Exactly. Let's spotlight some of those cities that just keep showing up at the top.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's jump right in with our first example. A city that, frequently sits right at the very top. Vienna, Austria.
Vienna. Yeah, it's a really compelling case. It's held the #1 spot in the EIU's index consistently in recent years. 2024, 2023, 2022, even back in 2019 and 2018. And it does really well in Monocle and Mercer, too.
So what's the secret sauce there? I mean, Austria has a really solid economic base, right? Their GDP per capita in 2022 was significantly higher than the EU average.
That's right. High employment, low unemployment, too. In 2023, the gross average monthly earnings were over $4,700.
Wow. How does that strong economy play into livability?
Well, that economic vitality, it provides crucial stability. It translates into, well-funded public services, a general sense of security for people.
Right.
And Vienna's role as a hub for international organizations, the UN, OPEC, that really underscores its importance, too, economically, politically. Of course, like a lot of developed places, they're navigating challenges, aging workforce, the digital shift. That's ongoing.
Okay. Now, health and well-being.
Yeah.
Vienna seems to really excel here. They have that social insurance model for healthcare.
Yes, where contributions fund universal access to really high-quality care. Coverage is like 99.9%, almost everyone. And they invest heavily. A big chunk of national health spending is public funds.
And the impact, what does that look like on the ground?
It means a truly excellent public health care system. A high doctor-to-population ratio, over 40 hospitals in Vienna alone. That level of access and quality, it's a huge factor in the livability scores. Just knowing that comprehensive care is there for everyone.
Gives you peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk education. Austria's PISA scores in 2022 were around the OECD average, so solid. But Vienna itself has some really prestigious universities, right?
Oh, definitely. The University of Vienna, the Academy of Music, these world-class institutions.
How do they contribute to the city's appeal?
Well, having these centers of learning fosters, a culture of innovation. It provides a highly skilled workforce. Plus, it attracts talent from everywhere, which just enriches the city's intellectual and cultural life.
Right. Safety and stability, another big win for Vienna, especially in the EIU rankings. Austria's national homicide rate is remarkably low.
Mm-hmm. And Ameo's data for Vienna backs that up. Low crime index, high safety index. It's clearly a very secure place.
And what's the ripple effect of feeling that secure?
Well, that fundamental sense of safety, it just allows people to engage more fully with everything else the city offers, doesn't it? People feel comfortable getting around, going to cultural events, just enjoying daily life without, constantly looking over their shoulder.
Makes sense. And Vienna definitely has a lot to engage with culturally. The coffee houses, the opera, museums, it's steeped in history.
It really is. Though, interestingly, there is a bit of a demographic shift happening. More people moving to the outer districts and society becoming more secular.
And environmentally, they seem quite forward-thinking.
Yeah, they're making significant strides. They have this ambitious climate law aiming for carbon neutrality by 2040, investing in geothermal, solar, and these innovative sponge city concepts.
Sponge cities.
Yeah, basically designs that help absorb rainwater, prevents flooding, cools the city. Pretty smart stuff.
Very cool. And the drinking water is amazing, apparently, from mountain springs.
Pristine, yes. Plus, you've got extensive recreational trails, the Danube Island for leisure. And it's a very diverse city now, over a third foreign nationals.
How do they balance preserving that rich heritage with embracing so much diversity? Seems like a challenge.
Vienna seems to be managing it quite well, actually, offering this blend of historic charm and, modern dynamism. I think the key is fostering an inclusive environment while still celebrating its unique identity.
Okay, the big question. Cost of living. What are we talking about for Vienna?
Well, Numbeo suggests for a single person, maybe around 2,000 euros a month, including rent. Other estimates are maybe a bit lower, excluding tuition fees and such.
And for a family?
A family of 4, maybe around 5,600 with rent, according to Numbeo. It varies, of course.
How does it stack up against other big European cities?
Generally, Vienna is seen as more affordable than, say, Zurich or Paris, but it's definitely more expensive than Lisbon or Madrid. Somewhere in the middle, maybe.
Right. And that public transport pass is famously cheap, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. The 365 annual pass, that's a huge plus for residents.
Yeah.
It really helps offset other costs.
Definitely. Okay. So if someone's thinking about moving there, what are the considerations?
Well, English is widely spoken, especially in business. But, learning German is really beneficial for social integration, day-to-day life. And Austrians can sometimes be perceived as a bit reserved initially. Building close friendships might take some time.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, the tax burden is relatively high, but again, that funds the social services we talked about, practical things, shorter store hours on Sundays. And the winters can be long, gray, and cold. That's something to be ready for.
And immigration for non-EU folks.
The red, white, red card for skilled workers. It can involve a bit of bureaucracy, standard procedure for many places, but yeah.
So boiling it down, the Vienna model seems to be this careful balance, right? High-quality public services, culture, safety, environmental focus, but keeping the cost of living somewhat manageable.
That's a great way to put it. It's a strong combination. But there's an interesting paradox. While Vienna scores incredibly high on these objective livability measures, some surveys, particularly among expats, report challenges with social integration. Internations, for instance, sometimes ranks it lower on friendliness.
That's fascinating. So objectively great, but maybe harder to feel connected sometimes for newcomers.
It's a possibility. It highlights that, livability on paper and the personal experience of settling in aren't always the same thing, a really important nuance.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears. Let's head north to another city that consistently ranks near the top, Copenhagen, Denmark.
Copenhagen, yes, always high marks for livability and safety. And it's particularly known for its commitment to sustainability and that work-life balance people are always searching for.
Right. And economically, the greater Copenhagen region seems like a real powerhouse. Lots of cross-border commuting now, too.
Yeah, they saw significant GDP growth between 2010 and 2020. Huge investment in R&D, attracting foreign money, especially in tech, life sciences, design, green energy, big names there.
What's driving that?
Well, Denmark overall has had strong economic growth projected to continue, very high employment rates, regionally really low unemployment. Wages have been rising in the private sector. Plus, a good chunk of the workforce, over 13%, comes from abroad. It all feeds into a really robust environment.
Okay. And healthcare in Copenhagen. It's a universal system, tax-funded.
That's right. Known for high-quality care, high patient satisfaction, excellent facilities in Copenhagen, good number of doctors.
How does that tax-based model work day to day?
It basically ensures everyone gets necessary medical care regardless of income. It's also very digitalized, lots of telemedicine, which makes things efficient.
Any downsides?
Well, sometimes the decentralization can lead to coordination challenges, and like many places, they're facing some nursing shortages right now, which can impact wait times for, non-urgent procedures.
Right. Common issue. Education. Denmark's system is well regarded, I understand.
Very much so. A high percentage of adults have upper secondary education. Their PISA scores are above the OECD average in math, reading, science, world-class universities, and higher education is largely government subsidized.
What's the benefit of that accessible, high-quality education socially?
Well, it creates a really well-informed, skilled population, which is obviously crucial for the economy, but also just for a high quality of life overall. Promotes social mobility, too.
Makes sense. And safety. Copenhagen seems incredibly safe. EIU ranked it #1 in 2021.
They did. Consistently among the safest globally. Low national crime rates, very low violent crime.
What's behind that? Is it just good policing?
It's more than that, I think. There's a high level of social cohesion in Denmark, a strong sense of trust among people. That social fabric really contributes significantly into the feeling of safety and security. It's not just about crime stats.
Right. And the lifestyle. Copenhagen has that blend of history and modern design, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Beautiful historic architecture, canals, but also cutting-edge design. A really vibrant food scene, too. Music festivals, that whole Scandinavian style, Tivoli Gardens, The Little Mermaid.
And they're leaders in sustainability. That CPH 2025 goal, CO2 neutral.
Yes, they're serious about it. Reducing energy use, promoting green transport, creating climate-adapted spaces, like their harbor is clean enough to swim in. Lots of green spaces, too.
And the cycling. You can't forget the cycling.
Oh, definitely not. It's incredible. A huge percentage of commutes are by bike. Over 250 miles of dedicated bike lanes.
How does that impact the city's feel?
Well, less traffic, lower emissions, obviously.
Yeah.
But it also promotes a healthier lifestyle, makes the city quieter, more pleasant. It's a core part of the Copenhagen experience.
Okay, but what about the cost? Copenhagen is known for being expensive, right?
Yeah.
Especially housing.
It is, yeah. Housing is a big one. Groceries, eating out, generally pricier than many other EU cities.
So how do people manage?
Well, the flip side is that average wages are also quite high. And the comprehensive social benefits help offset some expenses. Public transport is reasonably affordable, too.
And for newcomers, what are the hurdles?
Finding affordable housing is definitely a challenge. English is widely spoken, but learning Danish is recommended for, deeper integration. There's also a perception sometimes that it takes a while to make close friends. And the weather, well, it can be cool, windy, rainy a fair bit.
Classic Northern Europe.
Yeah.
And the high taxes.
Yeah, they fund that extensive welfare state, the public services. It's part of the deal. For non-EU citizens, getting a work permit usually means being on the positive list, jobs where they need people.
So the Danish model boils down to sustainability as a core value. High taxes funding great services and safety.
That sums it up pretty well. But it highlights that trade-off, doesn't it? The high cost of living, especially housing, is a major factor. It works because there's a strong social consensus about fiscal policy, the role of the state.
Right, relies on that agreement. Okay, interesting. Let's move south now to a city known for economic muscle and stunning scenery. Zurich, Switzerland.
Zurich, yes, a perennial top performer. Known for its strong economy, stability, high-quality public services, great environment, and very, very low crime.
It's a global financial center, very business-friendly. Switzerland's economy seems incredibly stable. Steady growth, low inflation, sky-high GDP per capita.
Double the EU average back in 2019, yeah. And employment rates are exceptionally high. Average earnings are very high, too.
What's the secret to that economic strength? Is it just finance?
Finance is huge, definitely. But it's diverse. Healthcare, tech, pharma, high-value manufacturing. Zurich is consistently ranked among the most competitive globally. It attracts multinationals, fosters innovation.
Okay. Healthcare in Zurich. It's a mix of public and mandatory private insurance, right?
Yeah.
Ranked among the best.
Yes, top-ranked system, known for quality, patient focus, great infrastructure.
How does that mandatory insurance work? Is it affordable?
Well, affordable is relative in Zurich. It's mandatory for everyone, and out-of-pocket costs are generally higher than in some other systems. But it ensures comprehensive coverage, access to top-tier care. They also have lots of nurses and doctors per capita, and life expectancy is very high.
Right. Education. The Swiss system is highly regarded.
Very much so. PISA scores are well above the OECD average. Excellent public schools, and of course, world-class universities like ETH Zurich, a global leader in science and tech.
What's the impact of having institutions like ETH?
Crucial for driving that knowledge-based economy. They produce a highly skilled workforce, fuel research, innovation. It's a key part of Zurich's success.
And safety. Zurich is famously safe.
One of the safest cities in the world. Crime rates are remarkably low. People genuinely feel safe walking alone at night.
What creates that level of safety?
Well, effective policing, yes, but also there's just a strong sense of social order, respect for rules in Switzerland. Violent crime is incredibly rare. It creates this fundamental security.
Okay, and culture and lifestyle. It's not just banks and mountains.
Right. Definitely not. Zurich has world-class museums, galleries, a great opera house, festivals. The Old Town, Altstadt, is beautiful, and areas like Zurich West are quite lively and modern.
And the nature aspect is huge.
Oh, absolutely. Lake Zurich, the Alps right there. Incredible opportunities for hiking, skiing, water sports. Plus, the city itself is very green, committed to sustainability, efficient public transport, lots of parks, ambitious climate goals too.
Okay, but the elephant in the room, the cost. Zurich is consistently one of the world's most expensive cities.
It really is. Housing, daily expenses, eating out, it all comes at a premium, a significant one.
So how does that work?
Well, the crucial factor is that salaries are also among the highest in the world. So for many people working there, the high earnings help offset the high costs, but it's definitely not a budget destination.
No kidding. And for newcomers, what are the challenges besides cost?
English is widely spoken, but German, especially Swiss German, is key for daily life. Finding housing is tough, high demand, strict processes. Social norms can be more reserved, formal. Integration might take time. And yes, the winters can be long and gray.
Immigration.
For non-EU citizens, there are quotas. Processes can be complex. They actively seek skilled professionals, though.
So Zurich sounds like this high-cost, high-return model. You pay a lot, but you get exceptional safety, efficiency, quality services.
That's a very good summary. It appeals to, high net worth individuals, highly skilled professionals.
And it reflects those Swiss values too, right? Cleanliness, punctuality, order.
Deeply ingrained, yeah. And they contribute to that overall feeling of high livability, even if it feels a bit different for expats from more informal cultures.
Right. Okay, let's head down under. Melbourne, Australia. Held that EIU top spot for 7 years straight at one point.
Melbourne, yeah. Long-standing reputation for livability, praised for its culture, healthcare, education, environment.
Economically, it's a major hub for business and tech in Australia. Salaries seem decent. How's the job market overall?
It's generally strong, though state unemployment has fluctuated a bit recently. Victoria's wage growth has been pretty solid. It's quite popular for entrepreneurs, too.
Why is that?
Accommodating legal framework, strong market access. Although, Sydney is often seen as the primary startup hub in Australia, Melbourne's definitely a major player.
Okay. Healthcare. Australia has that dual public-private system, Medicare.
Yes, Medicare. It's well regarded globally. Melbourne has a huge number of hospitals, both public and private. Lots of specialized services, too.
Like what?
Things like free maternal and child health services, strong aged care, mental health support. It's quite comprehensive.
Any concerns?
Well, rising out-of-pocket costs have become an issue for some Australians lately. Healthcare costs rising faster than wages, causing some affordability stress.
Right. Education. Melbourne seems to knock it out of the park here. Perfect score from EIU in 2024. Ranked 5th best student city.
Yeah, it's a top global destination for education. Excellent schools, public, private, international, and top universities like Melbourne Uni, Monash.
What makes it so attractive for students?
High quality of education, obviously, but also that vibrant multicultural environment. It's just a very desirable place to study, great student life.
Safety. Generally safe. Top 10 usually in the EIU index.
Among the safest in Australia, yeah, and globally performs well. Australia itself ranks highly.
That Mumbio shows moderate crime and safety indices. And you mentioned rising theft.
Right. So while it's generally safe, like any big city, it's not immune to crime. There have been some recent increases in certain categories, particularly theft. But overall, violent crime is low, and there are active community safety programs. It's still considered a safe city.
Okay. And Culture Melbourne is often called Australia's cultural capital.
Deservedly so, I think. Dynamic arts scene, amazing street art like Hosier Lane, festivals all year round, live music everywhere, strong coffee culture. It's very vibrant.
Mm-hmm. And Aboriginal heritage is prominent, too.
Yes, strong connection there. Things like the Birrong Willem Walk. And the food scene is incredibly diverse.
And lots of green space. Parks and gardens.
Loads. About 19% of the metro area is parks and gardens, like the Royal Botanic Gardens, Fitzroy Gardens. They're also committed to sustainability, greening the city. And sports. Huge sports culture, Australian Open, Formula One.
Right. Cost of living, still relatively high, especially housing.
Yes, housing is the big one, though generally considered more manageable than
Now,
Sydney.
what are we talking? Ballpark figures.
Single person, excluding rent, maybe AUD 1,550 a month. Family of 4, closer to AUD 5,500 excluding rent. Add rent, and a single person might be around AUD 3,400 total. A one bed in the center is easily over AUD 2,000 a month.
But salaries are okay.
Average net salaries are pretty good, yeah. Helps offset the costs.
Okay. Considerations for newcomers. Immigration sounds complex.
It can be. Points-based skilled migration is common. Visa requirements need careful navigation.
Other challenges.
Language is English, but getting qualifications recognized can sometimes be a hurdle. Cultural integration takes time, like anywhere. But Melbourne is known for being very inclusive and diverse. Lots of support services for newcomers.
And the isolation factor, being far away.
Yeah, that's real for Australia. Travel back home or elsewhere can be long and expensive. Something to factor in.
So Melbourne's livability seems heavily boosted by its status as a cultural hub. Very dynamic, attracts students, great lifestyle.
Definitely. The big challenge for Melbourne now is managing its rapid population growth. Victoria is the fastest growing state while preserving that green character and keeping things livable as it potentially heads towards 9 million people by mid-century. Needs smart planning.
A familiar story for growing cities. Okay, let's cross the Pacific. Vancouver, Canada. Another regular high flyer in the rankings.
Vancouver, yes. Celebrated for its, stunning natural setting, its multicultural vibe, and that outdoor lifestyle.
Economically, British Columbia projects a lot of job openings over the next decade. Vancouver region, too.
Yeah, particularly in healthcare, tech, retail, construction. The city has a strategy focused on accessible, living wage jobs, inclusive innovation.
What are the key sectors driving things there?
Tech is big, natural resources, historically important, clean tech is growing. That focus on inclusive innovation is interesting, trying to make sure growth benefits more people.
Healthcare. Canada's universal Medicare system.
Right. Publicly funded, access to hospital and physician services. BC's system is high quality, though like many places, they're working on improving access for everyone, especially in rural areas or for vulnerable groups.
So Vancouver residents benefit from that system.
Yes. Good access to hospitals, services within the city. Health Canada oversees quality and safety nationally.
Education in Canada seems strong, too. High attainment levels, good PISA scores.
Yeah, Canada does well. 92% adults with upper secondary education. PISA scores significantly above OECD average. Vancouver itself has good schools, considered family-friendly. Post-secondary institutions contribute a skilled workforce.
So the education system supports livability for families.
Definitely. Good schools, quality education, it attracts and keeps families.
Safety. Generally safe. Canada has low crime rates. How's Vancouver specifically?
Violent crime rates have been pretty stable, below the national average. Property crime dropped a bit recently. The police are engaged in community policing.
But Numbeo shows moderate indices again. What are the issues?
Vancouver faces real challenges with street disorder, homelessness, and a significant opioid crisis, particularly concentrated in certain areas like the downtown east side. These issues impact the perception of safety, even if violent crime stats are relatively low.
Right, a complex picture. Culture and lifestyle, that's where Vancouver really shines, the nature aspect.
Absolutely. It's defined by it. Mountains, ocean, forests, all right there. Amazing parks like Stanley Park. It fosters a very active, outdoor-oriented lifestyle. Hiking, skiing, water sports.
And culturally diverse.
Very multicultural. Lots of festivals, jazz, folk, cherry blossom, good art scene, active nightlife areas too.
And environmentally conscious.
Yeah.
Climate goals.
Yes, Metro Vancouver has a Climate 2050 plan, aiming for carbon neutrality. Big push for electric vehicles already, over a quarter of new sales in 2023. Improving building efficiency too.
Okay. But then there's the cost of living. Vancouver's notoriously expensive, right?
Yeah.
Especially housing.
Extremely. It's known for it. The housing affordability crisis is severe. It drives up the overall costs significantly. Someone noted you might need a household income over CAD 300,000 to live comfortably.
Wow, so what's driving that?
High demand, desirability, limited housing supply. A combination of factors. It's a major, major challenge.
So for newcomers. besides the cost?
Navigating Canada's express entry system for skilled immigrants is key. There are settlement support services available, which is good. The culture is generally welcoming, but adapting takes time. Job market can be competitive.
Where do expats tend to live?
Many look to the outer neighborhoods, suburbs, where housing is somewhat more affordable than the city core.
So Vancouver, exceptional natural setting defines its appeal, but the cost of living, especially housing, is a huge hurdle.
That's the core tension. Amazing place, but affordability is a massive issue. Plus, those social challenges like homelessness and the opioid crisis affect the perceived quality of life despite low violent crime.
It really shows how livability isn't just one thing. Okay, last stop on our tour, Tokyo, Japan. A massive, unique megacity.
Tokyo, yeah, it's sprawling, blends modernity and tradition like nowhere else. Praise for safety, efficiency, unique culture, high quality of life. Monocle consistently ranks it very highly.
It's Japan's economic engine.
Yeah.
Global financial center.
Yeah.
Salaries seem good. How's the economy holding up? Labor shortages are an issue in Japan, right?
They are, yes. Japan is addressing it with reforms, slowly opening up more to foreign workers.
Yeah.
Tokyo itself has a dynamic job market, though. Finance, Tech Shibuya's startup scene is booming manufacturing services. They're also promoting workplace reforms like 4-day weeks for some government staff and fostering innovation with things like the Tokyo Innovation Base.
Okay. Healthcare. Japan's universal system is highly regarded.
Very much so. Offers patient choice. Supported by private hospitals, too. The main structural challenge is coordinating care for the rapidly aging population. But Tokyo has world-class facilities, and there's a growing focus on mental health in workplaces.
Education. Japan excels in basic academic skills. PCESA scores are top tier.
Consistently. Top 5 in math, science, reading in 2022. The Basic Act on Education aims for equal opportunity. Tokyo has many prestigious universities.
Any disparities?
Yeah, some exist between metro and rural areas and based on income levels. But they're trying to address that with funding, online tools.
Safety in Tokyo is legendary, one of the world's safest large cities.
Exceptionally safe. National crime rates are incredibly low. Nomio reflects this low crime, high safety indices.
Safe to walk at night.
Generally, yes. Though, common sense applies, especially in big entertainment districts late at night. But overall, remarkably safe.
And culture is that unique blend, right? Ancient and futuristic.
Totally. Neon lights, crazy subcultures like cosplay and harajuku, 24/7 energy. But then serene shrines, beautiful gardens tucked away, traditional arts like kabuki, contemporary art, amazing food.
What about green space in such a dense city?
They're making real strides. The green plan focuses on green roofs, more vegetation, increasing park access. It's impressive how they integrate it.
And access to nature outside the city.
Surprisingly good. Easy day trips to places like Mount Takao for hiking, Okutama for rivers, even the Izu or Ogasawara Islands for marine stuff. Mount Fuji nearby, too.
Okay. Cost of living. Expensive, but maybe not the most expensive globally.
Right. Can be more affordable than, say, London or Sydney in some respects, but still costly. Housing is notably compact, small.
What are some typical costs?
A single person might need around JPY 318,000, maybe USD 2,050 a month, including rent, family of 4, much more. A one-bed apartment in the center is maybe around JPY 172,000 or USD 1,100. Utilities add up.
Public transport.
Very efficient and relatively affordable. Monthly pass around JPY 8,000. Groceries and dining can be expensive, but there's a huge range of options.
Considerations for newcomers. Language barrier sounds like a big one.
It is significant. Learning Japanese is pretty crucial for deep integration in daily life. There are support centers like FRESC offering help in multiple languages.
What else? Cultural etiquette.
Very nuanced, requires adaptation. The work culture can be demanding. Long hours are possible, though that's changing slowly.
Visas.
Housing. Visas require sticking to specific categories. Housing, as mentioned, is typically small. And, Japan is prone to natural disasters like earthquakes, something to be aware of. But there are support networks for expats.
So Tokyo's livability seems built on that incredible efficiency, social order, leading to safety and functional infrastructure.
Absolutely. That's the foundation. But it raises questions about the work culture, societal pressures, that work-life balance challenge.
And that urban paradox.
Yeah.
Super high density, yet access to nature nearby, and innovative green planning within the city.
Exactly. They manage it remarkably well. It's increasingly a global city, but retains a very strong, distinct cultural identity. Expat integration requires real commitment. It's a high-density, high-functioning, exceptionally safe model, but the experience depends a lot on adapting to that unique landscape.
Okay. Fascinating profiles. We've looked at Vienna, Copenhagen, Zurich, Melbourne, and Vancouver, and Tokyo. We put together a table summarizing some key metrics: EIU monocle ranks, Numbeo safety cost, average rent, healthcare type, PISA scores, economic strengths, environment notes. What jumps out when you see them side by side?
Well, it really reinforces that there's no single best. Vienna and Copenhagen kill it on stability and well-being in the EIU scores. Zurich leads on safety and economy, but wow, the cost. Melbourne shines culturally and educationally. Vancouver's environment is maybe unparalleled, but affordability is a huge issue. Tokyo offers that amazing safety and efficiency, but again, cost and cultural adaptation are factors. They all have different strengths.
Which underlines the point. The best city is total subjective. It depends on your priorities. So let's try and tailor this. How might different people approach choosing, say, families with young kids? What do they look for?
Right. Families typically prioritize good schools, childcare access, safety, parks, family amenities, and definitely healthcare.
So how do our cities stack up?
Well, Vienna has great social welfare, fun stuff like Danube Island, but childcare can be pricey. Copenhagen is super child-friendly by design, lots of playgrounds, free healthcare. Zurich, incredibly safe and clean, but childcare costs are astronomical. Melbourne, excellent schools, free maternal child health services. Vancouver, good schools, amazing outdoor activities. Tokyo, family-friendly neighborhoods, support programs, but housing is small. International school fees are high.
And it's more than just schools and hospitals, isn't it? It's the little things: playgrounds, easy transport, services.
Exactly. That supportive infrastructure makes a huge difference day to day. And yeah, those childcare and education costs, they can be a massive differentiator. Zurich, Tokyo, even Vienna, it adds up.
Okay, what about young professionals?
Yeah,
Different priorities, presumably.
often, yeah. Job market, career growth, networking opportunities, a good social scene, affordability, and maybe trying to find that elusive work-life balance.
How do the cities compare for them?
Vienna has jobs in IT finance, decent work-life balance, but maybe more hospitality focus for purely English speakers. Copenhagen, strong in tech, design, green energy. Zurich, finance, tech, pharma, high salaries but intense. Melbourne, startups tech, great music nightlife. Vancouver, tech, real estate, but that high cost looms large. Tokyo, massive market, endless options, but work-life balance can be notoriously tough.
That trade-off again. Earning potential versus cost of living. Zurich or Tokyo versus maybe Vienna.
Precisely. And vibrant social scene means different things, right? Vienna's coffee houses are different from Tokyo's intensity or Melbourne's bar culture.
Totally subjective.
Yeah.
Okay, let's think about retirees. What matters most then?
Healthcare access and quality become paramount. Peace, safety, maybe a pleasant climate, senior-specific amenities, manageable cost of living, mobility, good public transport, and ways to stay socially engaged.
So, looking at our cities through that lens,
Vienna scores well on healthcare, safety, transport discounts, green space, but winters are cold. Copenhagen, great healthcare safety, but expensive. Climate might be tough. Zurich, top healthcare safety transport, but very costly gray winters. Melbourne, world-class healthcare, safe, green, but still expensive. Vancouver, mild climate, good infrastructure, but the high cost might push retirees to smaller surrounding towns. Tokyo, safe, convenient, great healthcare culture, but expensive, small housing, language barrier possible.
healthcare and mobility really jump out as key for retirees.
Yeah.
And the pace of life, cultural engagement.
Definitely. Now, entrepreneurs, what do they need?
Startup ecosystem, funding access, innovation hubs, business-friendly rules, talent pool, networking, and, importantly, a quality of life that attracts that talent.
Right. So Vienna has a growing scene, acts as a bridge east-west, funding available. Copenhagen has hubs in AI, security, VR. Zurich is a premier innovation hub, universities, finance, accelerators, VCs, all there. Melbourne is good for launching, good legal structure, but Sydney might be the main Aussie hub. Vancouver has that inclusive innovation strategy, but childcare costs can be a challenge for founders. Tokyo, government initiatives, corporate innovation, major campus being built.
It's more than just money, right? It's the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
Talent, support, collaboration.
Exactly. Like Zurich's links between universities, finance, accelerators, or Vienna's festival scene and support structures, Melbourne's co-working spaces. And that point about livability attracting talent, crucial. Vienna, Melbourne, Vancouver, they use that as a selling point.
Makes sense. Okay, outdoor enthusiasts, what's their ideal city?
Access. Diverse natural landscapes, mountains, water, forests, trails for hiking, biking, outdoor sports options, and good quality urban green spaces within the city.
So who delivers?
Vienna has the Vienna Woods, Danube Island, Washoe Valley nearby. Copenhagen, amazing bike paths, swimmable harbor, urban parks. Zurich, the lake, The Alps, practically on the doorstep, hiking, skiing, water sports galore, plus city parks. Melbourne, great parks, closest to the Great Ocean Road, Yarra Valley, maybe longer drives for really rugged stuff. Vancouver,
Hmm.
just unparalleled access, mountains, ocean, forest, Stanley Park, mild climate helps year-round.
Mhm.
Tokyo, surprisingly good access. Okutama for rafting, hiking. Izuogasawara Islands for marine stuff. Fuji Five Lakes not far.
Some really offer that best of both worlds, city life plus easy nature access. Vancouver, Zurich, Vienna seem strong there.
Yeah, the type of access varies. Rugged wilderness versus urban green spaces or water recreation, depends what you're after.
Finally, cultural explorers, what draws them in?
Museums, galleries, historical sites, performing arts, festivals, the food scene, a multicultural vibe, that richness.
And our cities.
Vienna. Imperial palaces, opera, museums, coffee houses, festivals. Copenhagen. Historic architecture meets modern design, great food, music festivals, Tivoli. Zurich. Old Town, world-class museums, galleries, music festivals. Melbourne. Dynamic arts, street art festivals, Aboriginal heritage, amazing dining. Vancouver. Diverse communities, various cultural festivals. Tokyo. That incredible ancient modern fusion, shrines, temples, museums, subcultures, food.
It shows cultural richness is so diverse too. Classical, contemporary, unique blends.
Exactly. And many cities are making efforts towards accessibility and inclusivity in their cultural offerings too, which is great. Vienna, Copenhagen come to mind there.
So, wrapping this deep dive up, the main takeaway really seems to be that livability is complex, it's personal. These top cities offer amazing quality of life, but they definitely cater to different priorities.
Absolutely. You really have to look beyond just the rank number. Think about your own needs, your values, what you want out of a place, what makes it livable for you.
We definitely encourage you to dig deeper into these city profiles, maybe even check out how these indices actually work. There's a ton of information out there.
And as you do that, maybe just take a moment to think. What does livable truly mean to you? What are your non-negotiables? And importantly, what trade-offs are you willing to make in your own search for that ideal urban home?